The Spanish announce table.
Well, it is episode 388. A little delayed getting out of the gate here because, what's new? Technical difficulties. Tom, how the hell are you?
I am great. I am having a wonderful day, and I am excited to talk about all things pro wrestling, specifically AEW, and this weekend's first ever co-promoted Forbidden Door promotions, AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling combining forces to give us this spectacle in Chicago. How do you feel about that event that's going to happen this coming Sunday night?
I feel, mixed reviews is how I feel, right? And we'll get into all that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into all that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, let's see what we're going to do for the format here. Are we going to kick it off with a little news, or you want to kick off with last night's AEW Dynamite?
Well, we can talk about some news, right? I mean, there's nothing too major, right? I mean, the Vince McMahon saga continues, right? He stepped down shortly after we recorded last episode, temporarily, right? Temporarily, right? Pending the investigation results, right? So, I don't know. What do you think? You think now Stephanie's in charge and... Johnny Ace is out, right? Bruce Pritchard is head of talent relations.
Look, no matter what happens, and even this is, from all accounts, just a facade as a, PR move to make sure that, hey, there's sexual misconduct allegations. Let's put a female in charge while Vince McMahon steps away, yada, 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 all that, whatever, right? But forever, there's going to be a time in history where we're going to look back and say, remember that time Vince McMahon had to step down as CEO? Like, that is an action that actually took place. Again, you can dig deeper and he actually still was running creative and he was blah, 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 all that stuff. But he still has to live with the fact that he was pressured into stepping down as a CEO. You suck. You're a horrible human. Yeah, I love it. You sent me some article earlier that WWE's evaluation has lost $500 million. Oh. Good. I hope it loses the other half. Like, he is good. It's look, I don't relish and like to revel in when people suffer. That's not a thing I enjoy. However, it's good to see when bad things happen to bad people. That's how I feel.
I don't disagree with you too much on that. The weird thing is they say, he just digs deeper, right? They say, all right, he's stepping down. He'll still be in charge of day-to-day creative, which I think you even floated this is how it might go, right? Mm-hmm. But immediately they're like, but live tonight on SmackDown, Mr. McMahon will be there. And he does the biggest nothing, on purpose. And then he does it again on Raw. And it's just like, he always will take the waggle my dick in your face route.
Oh yeah.
Way out.
Yeah. It's the backfire effect, right? The backfire effect is when presented with facts or when presented with how reality is, instead of accepting new information or understanding your shortcomings, you double down on the bad behavior or the bad thought. And you just go nope, I'm digging my heels in. This is how it's going to be. You're either with me or you're against me. It's called the backfire effect. It's a philosophy term. Go Google it if you haven't made yourself familiar with it. And that's what he's doing. He's just doing I'm not leaving. Watch me. Now I'm going to be on SmackDown. And now I'm going to be unannounced on Raw. And guess what? The next SmackDown, I might be the one who announces the main event that night. And it doesn't matter because I'm going to show you that I'm not running. These colors don't run. Idiot. He's in dumb. You guys are silly for supporting him. So, anyhow, let's talk about some fun stuff. Last night was AEW Dynamite.
Ooh, yeah.
And it was the go-home show for, as mentioned, AEW's Forbidden Door, or I guess AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling's Glory Hole. So we kicked off with some news, though. And we'll what I thought, Tim, we could do is kind of bounce back and forth, because we're going to kick off with the Bryan Danielson announcement, and then we'll go into the match he's talking about, maybe do a pick that way. You want to do it that way?
Yeah.
And then we'll catch anything that we don't miss?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. All right, so we kick off Dynamite with Bryan Danielson confirming that he is not eligible to compete at Forbidden Door or next week's Blood and Guts. Now, he said there will be someone on his level as far as a technical wrestler who will be replacing him to take on Zack Saber Jr. Foreshadowing, a little bit later when they announced the full card, Excalibur said that this person was going to be the newest member of the Blackpool Combat Club. That is an interesting part that I don't think Bryan Danielson touched on that makes this person a little bit more interesting. So Bryan Danielson makes the announcement. He says, my replacement will be there Sunday night. Do you want to know who it is? Ha! Don't you realize I came from the bad guy door? I'm not telling you, which I thought was the best line of the promo was I came from the bad guy door. I'm not telling you. He does that great job of, this is a professional wrestling company. Don't we love AEW? Yay! I don't like you. Oh, boo.
Yeah.
Like you're like, yeah,
you guys love that? Yeah, I think you're stupid for loving it.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So afterwards, Zack Saber Jr. comes out, doesn't necessarily say anything, and that's the segment. So, Tim, tell me what you thought about the segment, and then tell me who you think this mystery person is.
I mean, I thought it was an interesting announcement. I newsflash. I mean, I had already heard he was injured and couldn't. Biggest kept secret they had there, right, was Bryan Danielson was injured. And so he finally says it, and hey, I'm not going to be at either thing. Ah, shit. So now what? Then it really piques my interest because, it's going. It's a Bryan Danielson promo. It's fine. Like, I think he's good. He knows how to he's gotten way better at this over the years.
Oh,
and he's leading the crowd very well. But that, right, but I got somebody, right? My third band, right? Or my secret buddy coming. And I mean, there's a couple names out there that people have been waiting on to hear, right? I think we can all eliminate, Bray Wyatt. He's not fitting this role, but you've got a Cesaro hanging out there.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Gargano hanging out there. Because he said he'll do great in AEW, right? Which indicates to me not currently in AEW and haven't been, right?
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. But those two come to mind. I mean, there could be anybody, right? There could have been anybody from an Impact or an ROH or whatever, right? So, but if it's those two that stick out to me, Cesaro and Johnny Gargano, I feel conflicted because Cesaro fits that role better of the Blackpool Combat Club. He's going to come in and give an amazing technical match. Yep. But a technical match is also going to do Johnny Gargano, and I feel like he's got better longevity storytelling-wise in AEW than Cesaro. But for this story, I think I'd rather have Cesaro. So I'm a little conflicted, and it could be either of those. I don't know.
All right, so figurative gun to your head. Who are you picking? And then, so let's continue with this here. It's going to be in your booking fantasy world. Good here. Decision. Cesaro versus Zack Saber Jr. Who wins that?
This one is tough because I don't know how they're, professional wrestling wisdom leads us to believe that two companies are doing a shared promotion. Everybody's going to get a little and everybody's going to give a little, right? Well, it's hard to book these without booking the whole thing, right? And understanding the politics there. But let's say it was just that gun in my head. And it's like, you get to pick this match, pick it right now. I'm going with the Blackpool Combat Club because, I mean, what story is Zack Saber Jr. telling us? And even if he goes back to NJPW, what story is him having beat, him having beat some of these people, cool. But like the Blackpool Combat Club getting another feather in their hat with a new member, I think is the cooler story.
I agree. Now, for me, one of the things that I think was the biggest miss, and we've talked about this multiple times from this segment, was Zack Saber Jr. just walking out and just screaming into the nothingness of the arena, right? He had no microphone. He didn't really establish what he was out there to do. And also to the viewer who may be an AEW mark, raise your hand right here, right? I don't know who Zack Saber Jr. is. I mean, I know who he is, right? But like, tell me why he is the best technical professional wrestler. I thought, again, if I had hindsight's 2020, right? If I had the ability to rewrite the show, I'm putting together a promo package. I'm doing it. Welcome to AEW Dynamite. Go into a promo package. highlighting Zack Saber Jr. This is the motherfucker who everyone knows will tie you up in a fucking pretzel and then beat you 1, 2, 3, right? And then have Bryan Danielson do all of this. Zack Saber Jr. then finishes the segment. Now we have a little bit more context of who the fuck these people are, right? Because we know who Bryan Danielson is. Like, we understand he's the man, right? So that was my gripe with the specific segment. Now, you had mentioned this person could be coming from another organization. Let me present this curveball to you. I don't think it's anyone new. I don't think it's Cesaro. I don't think it's Johnny Gargano. And actually, I don't want another person, to be honest with you. I'm going to say the smarter move, if you give me the pencil, for diversity and to hype up your second brand, I'm putting Jonathan Gresham in this Blackpool Combat Club, right? Stocky, technical wrestler. He's the heavyweight champion of Ring of Honor. You got Ring of Honor trying to get some steam behind it. So what better way to have him stand next to Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley than have him compete with Zack Saber Jr.? They're going to put on a fantastic show. I don't know if they've wrestled before. I'm going to assume they probably have once or twice, right? So I personally would put Jonathan Gresham in this group. He's a Ring of Honor heavyweight champion. Now you've established, oh shit, the champ is with William Regal. Like, then William Regal can do this fun thing of hopping over to Ring of Honor with Willie Yuta and Gresham, and then hopping over to AEW with Moxley and Danielson.
Look, they love to have these clubs go across different promotions, right? And
right. Well, because Yuta's the
Brothers
pure
club.
Yeah, well, because Yuta is the pure champion, the Ring of Honor pure champion. Right. So then if you had the heavyweight champion, that's your Ring of Honor Blackpool Combat Club. And then you got your two established stars in Moxley and Danielson on AEW as a Blackpool Combat Club.
Let me tell you why you're wrong.
Why?
Because I was wrong earlier too, because it just hit me who it's going to be. Totally going to be Enzo. Has to be in.
Well, I mean, that's the smart money. If you're betting money, DraftKings, which they have a partnership with, put all of your money, house mortgage and all, on Enzo.
Send it to us, and we'll put it on Enzo for you.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll let you know when you get all your money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, about the match. So again, I'm going to fantasy book that this is Jonathan Gresham versus Zack Saber Jr. I think Zack Saber Jr. wins. And I think Zack Saber Jr. wins, even though it's a technical battle that's going to maybe steal the show. The Jericho Appreciation Society is going to be feuding with this member alongside Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley, Santana, and Ortiz the next week on Blood and Guts. So what great way to ruin the debut of a wrestler than to cost him the match and give Zack Saber Jr. the win.
Or, so it is anybody, right? Let's say it's Cesaro, it's Johnny Gargano.
Right.
I don't think Gresham. They're going to be the new member of the Blackpool Combat Club.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers, Bucks, whatever.
Right.
And loses to Zack Saber Jr. And then they're like, you know what? Second thought, you're a bitch. And they beat the shit out of the person who does the Blackpool Combat Club. And now we've got an established feud against this new AEW star. Cesaro,
yeah, I could see that. But that could definitely be. But I just think to give this person some vengeance to go into a blood and guts match, he has, like, if he wins this match, he does nothing with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Then he just walks into this blood and guts match and is just like, I'm gonna kill Garcia. And it's like, why? It's like, I don't know. These guys said, like, kill him, so I guess we're gonna do it. Yeah. So and I think if you give Zack Saber Jr. the victory here, then he can go over to New Japan. And I don't know the hierarchy of, like, who's the top dog. I know that Jay White's the champion, and Okada presented on last night's episode is also a top guy. But, like, I don't know if Zack Saber Jr.'s in that same group. But if you go back to New Japan and you say, I beat AEW's best technical wrestler available, check me out. Now I want the title shot. Now you're building to New Japan top level guys. And then again, you get this guy who got the loss, but he has now vengeance to seek on your blood and guts match. That's why I would do it.
All right.
Enzo. So, Enzo all the way. Yeah. All the way, Enzo. Now let's get into some action here. We get our first match of the night. It's the Aussie Open and Will Osprey taking on Orange Cassidy and Roppongi Vice. Now, this was a fun match, right? I mean, by all accounts, it was fun when Orange Cassidy gave him the stunner and Osprey put his hands out like he was corpsing. I thought it was fun. What did you think?
Yeah, again, the match is fun. The Aussie Open name is as terrible as their entire presentation is.
Well, isn't that a tennis tournament?
Yeah, right? Is that what they're going for? Is like tongue-in-cheek?
I don't know.
We've discussed on this podcast about what I think about things in Japan being cool, but we'll scratch that for.
Yeah.
Yes. Look, my heart says I want the Roppongi Vice and team to win because they're fun. This other team isn't. They're doing it good here. They've got me marked out for I want the heels to win, and I don't like I want the faces to win. I don't want the heels to win because I just don't like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Genuinely don't really care for them.
Well, my thing with this match, that was a little bit like, really, and it's no offense to the person because I enjoy him on television each and every week, and I wish his partner would be back so they would reunite the best friends. But this is, again, the third match in a row that Trent is going to be fighting Osprey and the Aussie Open. Now, this time he's with Orange Cassidy and Roppongi and Rocky Romero. The week before was FTR. And then the week before that, I think he was just, that was out. And then the second time it was just a singles competition. So it was just like, was Trent needed? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that felt a little bit of a WWE move where it's like, we're going to give you the same thing, but a little bit different. And so that part wasn't great. And also, Orange Cassidy gets the victory here. Orange Cassidy and Roppongi Vice get the victory. So as an AEW specific fan, right, getting exposed to this new promotion, I know it's not a new promotion, but new guys at a promotion that I'm not familiar with, you've told me that Aussie Open and Will Osprey kind of suck because they've lost both matches where it was a 6-man tag.
To a bunch of guys who have never won anything in
right.
They've won some matches, but they haven't won no titles. They won no.
Yeah. Now this one, I can understand that because the chaos or the best friends like faction, them working together makes sense. But having Trent and FTR beat Aussie Open and Will Osprey, and then you do it again, like, ooh, you guys kind of look like losers. Now, that's all to say, after the match, the United Empire come out, and now they've got Orange Cassidy and Roppongi Vice outnumbered. And I think the pop of the night happens where the FTR music hits, and here comes these guys ready to kick ass. FTR, Tim, what do you think? Team of the year?
FTR is killing it in everything they do right now. We actually have a hashtag tweet the table about that I'll shout out.
Oh, let's get to it. Yeah.
By the way, use hashtag tweet the table on Twitter, and we will read those tweets right here on the show, just like we're about to do with @DevilVamp says, fucking Dax is the absolutely most underrated, I think he meant to say, wrestler of the decade. This guy can fucking go. Hashtag AEW, hashtag tweet the table. And I think we addressed this a little bit. Yes, FTR is killing it, but I think it's Dax that's killing it. I think the other guy is there and he's playing his part well, but what's getting this whole like, fuck yeah, like I want to root for these everyday, you know what I mean? Like these hard-working fellas and these, you know what I mean? I see myself in these guys is Dax.
I like both guys. Yeah, Cash, I think, is starting to become second fiddle because, again, on Rampage, I think he has a one-on-one matchup with one of these competitors, and most likely he'll probably lose that. And then, again, you're creating that more like, well, Dax is winning these things and you're not. Although Dax isn't winning, but you know what I mean? Looking great, right? I think both guys are awesome. I like both of them equally. Neither one is more, I'm drawn to more than the other. But it does feel like Dax is the leader right now, and Cash is going to be, getting his turn whenever that is, but it's not right now. I just thought you go back to January when FTR, MJF, and Wardlow are beating the shit out of CM Punk. Fast forward to, the end of June, the start of July, and now they're getting the biggest pop over Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson walking out. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty impressive. this is the year of FTR, I think. I know the Young Bucks will talk about the first 2-time champs and all that stuff. Miss me with that. That ain't it. FTR, them boys.
By the way, before we go any further, Tom, I want to make sure everybody knows that if you're just listening to this on the podcast, we also do this live as a YouTube and Twitch simul stream. Catch those Thursday nights, 7:30-ish p.m. in the one true time zone, U.S. Central Standard Time. And the reason we're able to do that is because of great sponsors, right? Great sponsors. You can go to SpanishAnnounceTable.net, and there's a donate link. You can donate us money. You can also donate us beer by becoming the beer sponsor of the week by telling us what beer to get. And shout out to this week's beer sponsor, fucking nobody.
But we have had them in the past. Look, but we have had beer sponsors in the past. So thank you to everyone who has sponsored in the past. The door is always open.
When I had to pay for it myself is what I'm.
Look, the forbidden door is this Sunday, but the door to be our sponsor is always open.
Please
just contact us and let us know.
Come through the Spanish Announce Table glory hole, and you too be the beer sponsor of the week. Did I say all that right?
I think you did.
Come in the Spanish Announce Table back door and leave some money on the cabinet or on the counter. And, yeah. So let's get into. I'll save their match for. I want to do a proper actual breakdown of the card because I wanted your Zack Saber Jr. opponent thing just because we were in the moment, but then I don't want to be jumping too far around. Sure, of course.
So we'll get into that pick here a little bit later in the show because I want to get into what happened next. And that is the promo of the night. And this is not going to be featured, I don't think, at least on Forbidden Door. So it doesn't really fit with a pick, but I want to talk about it. We have Tony Schiavone in the ring and he calls out Christian Cage for an interview, and Christian Cage looking like the $6 million man with the turtleneck in June, which good on you, must have been cold in the arena. And then takes, he played the hits like turn to 11. This was a fire promo for his first heel promo coming out, going up against Jungle Boy. There's a ton of lines here and we can break down a little bit more. But first off, what did you think of the new Christian Cage heel in AEW?
I loved it. We've been saying all along, like, Christian's great, but Christian way better as heel Christian. Right? Like he's just way more money on the mic in that regard. And honestly, what we've heard of, he's a well-liked guy, but comes off as a pompous dick, even to his, his friends and coworkers, like sometimes, right? So you turn that up to 11 and we get what we get here. And this guy put on a masterclass in how to work emotion out of a crowd with doing just small things, right? From the setup from the last couple of weeks where we were like, oh, this is happening, to the things he hit on here, right? He hits on, I've been planning this a year ago, ever since you threw me out. Fuck you. You cost me a bunch of money, right? Like, that's what I'm doing this for. You think I'm here to help newcomers? Miss me with that. I want money. And then throwing the shade at MGF, being like, speaking of, I hear people crying about my money. Like, why don't you do something that people still talk about 20 years from now? The type of matches they name pay-per-views after, he said. Like, then maybe you'll get my checks. He's like, but until then, eat my crumbs and deal with it. Like, just loved all of it, right? And then we get into the shit he says about Jungle Boy and his dead. And the crowd. Bad. My complaint here is that they didn't show the crowd reaction enough to that, because you could tell the crowd was like, what the fuck? Like, everybody was legitimately shocked that he went there.
Now, here was my takeaway from that is, yes, to all of your points, talking about how he planned it for a year, all of those beats he was hitting right in tune with what I thought the first promo should have been. I honestly think he played the father card a little bit too soon.
Yes.
And the reason is...
Thing with the lucha?
No, the thing with Jungle Boy's dad.
Yeah.
He said he thinks, I think she wanted me to be his dad, but his dad is dead and all that stuff, right? I think you could have saved that line, because this isn't a 1 week promo, right? Like, we're going to get a pay-per-view match out of it, and AEW doesn't do pay-per-view matches every month. So I imagine either it's going to be a big Dynamite special or we're going to get this to a pay-per-view. So I kind of felt like he shot all of his bullets in this one promo. And so when Jungle Boy comes out and has a retort and says like, you actually weren't the, star in your tag team. I'm the star in my tag team, all that stuff. Christian's going to be like, your dad's dead. And it's like, well, man, you already said that, right? Like that was the only thing is I thought this promo in a standalone viewing experience was amazing. I worry though, that he shot all of those bullets right in the first go and he ain't gonna get anything else after that. But it's also Christian.
The thing I thought they did too early was the Luchasaurus thing, right? I was like, let me see that later in the show or next week or something, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe the card to pull there was Luchasaurus gets to the ring, Christian rolls out, says, we've got to talk. As he goes up to the ramp, Luchasaurus looks conflicted. Then next week, Luchasaurus is like, Christian Cage, get your ass out here.
But Christian,
then he does
even playing all of it well, right? Like, hey, I've been meaning to talk to you. Like, don't come in here yet. Right? Like, we need to talk. And then he's like, you're hurting me. Like you're like a son to me. All of that stuff. Mentioning Marco Stunt. Like, that's the interesting part. I thought the most intriguing part is, what does he mean? Did Jungle Boy get rid of Marco Stunt? Did Christian get rid of Marco Stunt? Did Luchasaurus want Marco Stunt gone? Are we going to see Marco Stunt come back into the storyline? Are we going to get I am a dinosaur? I think that's where you have to go here, right? So Christian gets into Luchasaurus's head and he's like, listen, man, no, you were down with Jungle Boy and you guys had this thing and everybody loved it and everybody sang and danced, but look where it got you. Him losing titles for you. You know what I mean? Everybody joking about you in the back because you're not a dinosaur. You're a man. You're a 6'7.5", whatever, right? Like, man, you're a beast of a man. You know what I mean? And it gets into him that he's a man, right? Like, they can even give him the he's a man. And it's like, that's a little too far. But you know what I mean? Like, just get all that. And then, you know what I mean? Then that sets us up later for when he's down and out. And then he's no longer doing well. And then he's not sure of himself. And then we get Marco Stunt going, man, you're a dinosaur. Oh, a dinosaur, man, right? Dinosaur! Yeah. God, that's going to happen. If that happens, we got to go back and timestamp the creation of that story and send it to Tony Khan and be like, look, man, we got more ideas. Hit us up. Anyhow. So yeah, let's keep moving on here. So then our second match of the night, we get Malachi Black taking on Penta in the All Atlantic tournament. This was good. I feel like we've squeezed all we can out of the House of Black Death Triangle. I think we need to separate. This probably should be the last time. Now again, Malachi Black won, which means we're going to get Malachi Black, Miro, Pac, and then now it was actually, let me look this up to make sure I am correct here. It is not going to be Ishii. He actually got hurt and just got replaced today. Let me, before I misquote myself here. Ishii suffers a left knee injury. Clark Connors to wrestle in AEW's All Atlantic 4-Way. So no Ishii. Like Ishii a lot, the little stone head. It's a big 4-way for the okay.
Yeah, so it's Miro.
Not two matches and then
No. It's Miro versus Malachi Black versus Pac versus now Clark Connors. So this was fun. I think, again, the match was what it was. We've seen it kind of enough. It wasn't bad. Nothing about it was bad. It was very good. I think we've seen it enough. I thought Miro saying like, I'm going to redeem you all. And then when you get there, tell him I'm coming. And it's like,
you say, tell that coward I'm coming.
Yeah.
God, a coward.
Insane.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah. Listen, and I think I want to say because of stuff like that, Miro wins, but Miro also doesn't need to win, right? He could get sideswiped and then that, God put an obstacle in front of him and now it's God's fault. Doesn't need it. So who do you do you think this is an AEW title that NJ or New Japan holds for a while and they're this Clark Connors wins, or do you think we're getting Pac or Malachi Black at it?
I think we're gonna get Pac.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll do this pick now, and then again, we'll do a catch all after to see any picks that we didn't make. I got Pac in this for this reason alone. I think we have enough to go with for Malachi Black to talk about Julia Hart joining the House of Black and what that means for the Varsity Blondes. And now he's going to attack them. He's still going to go after lesser thans. We've got some more spooky, fun stuff to do with the House of Black, right? So he doesn't need a title to do that, right?
Right.
Miro, like you said, is on a vengeance tour for God.
Don't
So
need a
a win
title to
or
fight
loss.
God.
Yeah, a win or a loss. He's telling most likely the same story. So it's going to be great. Clark Connors, now that it's not Ishii, and now it's just a replacement, I don't think they're going to give him for that reason. So I think Pac, who's in Death Triangle, but kind of after House of Black, are spinning their wheels. You need to get that fun finisher in as much as you can. Giving him the title does that. So I got Pac for that reason.
Shout out to the chat. We got X0X81 giving us a fist bump. We're throwing up some horns, maybe. That's what that is. I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
Throwing up the horns, man.
Yeah, right there, buddy. Right there, pal.
We're not street.
We're not hood.
Not young either. So I don't know what these are.
We're not with all that jive hand chucking. What the hell is all that about? Yeah. Okay, so now we get into another big moment from last night's AEW. It starts off with match number 3. It's Hangman Adam Page, cowboy shit, taking on Silas Young, who I thought initially was the Butcher, but was not.
Looks like a Butcher in a before photo.
Yeah, they should be a tag team. Just call them before and after.
Before and after.
And then you don't indicate what's before and after. You just say it's the before
drugs,
after.
or is this before the gym? Like, what are we at?
Right, yeah. Oh, and you could be all spooky. You're right, the before and after. It's like, I know, actually, look, it's just without tattoos and now with tattoos.
Right, yeah.
This was a good match. I thought Silas Young did well. Apparently, from what the commentary said, this was a previous feud in Ring of Honor between Hangman and Silas Young. So they were familiar with each other, liked all of that. Hangman gets the victory, as he should. And then as soon as he gets the victory, we do rinse and repeat with Adam Cole, and he says the same thing. But before he even really gets to say anything, Jay White comes out. Now, this was the part that I thought, we've talked about it, how Adam Cole was super cool in NXT, comes over to AEW. He's still kind of cool, but then kind of moving down the ranks as far as like the coolest guys in the room, right? This was the one, and I said this on our Twitter at Table Show, Jay White completely punked out Adam Cole, and Adam Cole did nothing.
Looked like he was like, oh, man, God damn it, man.
Yeah.
Man. Like,
you can't be the coolest guy in the room and have no response when someone's like, you're not on my level. Like, you have to do something different
than just take out Kyle O'Reilly for shit less than this in NXT.
Yeah. So this was honestly the worst I've ever seen Adam Cole, as far as, like I said, the coolness factor, the top guy kind of thing.
And to me, and so also correct me if I'm wrong out of this, right? So now we've got a 4-way match between Adam Cole, Hangman, Jay White, and who knows, right?
But no, it's Okada.
Oh, it's Okada. Right.
Okada comes out. Yeah,
so that's right. Okada did come out. So we get the foot. That's right. Because at first he's playing like, who is it? We don't know who it's going to be. And then it's Okada comes out. And now we get the Fatal 4-Way. But like you just said, it's not you, Adam Cole. It's not you, Adam Page. And it's all of you?
Yeah. There was two things I thought were wrong with this. Not wrong, but noticeable. One, Adam Cole is not cooler than Jay White. He let everyone know
he's just willing to let Jay White do that and be like, oh, man, can we talk about this, man? Come on, please.
Yeah. Now, he did flirt with I'm going to hit him with the title thing, right? He did flirt with that a little bit, but still.
Yeah, that was fun. Then he's like, what? Pick him up. I'm going to hit him. Yeah, right. Like, I wasn't going to hit you.
So then Okada comes out and Chase, they beat up Adam Cole and Jay White. Okada and Hangman then have this kind of moment where they're staring, eye to eye with each other. And then, yes, later on in the show, it's announced it's a 4-way match for the New Japan Pro Wrestling, or the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, which again goes against everything that we were told, that Jay White is the catalyst and can pick whoever he wants to fight. There had to have been again, this is where the details matter. This is where Tony Khan and a representative from New Japan are backstage with Tony Schiavone, and they say, look, after what happened tonight, Jay White has lost all privileges to announce his opponent. What we are going to do is make this a 4-way match at Forbidden Door. And then we go like, well,
we told Jay White if he didn't give us this pick by
noon today,
9 p.m. And he did not. So it doesn't matter what he says.
Right. That little detail. Exactly. And that's where that little detail would have made this make more sense. But now going into Forbidden Door, Adam Cole is a dork and Jay White is an idiot.
Stuff you need like Mark Henry to, right? Like,
yes,
he's working as a commissioner backstage, right? Label him whatever title you want, and they got to go to him and be like, "Hey, I've decided who I want." To be like, "Oh no, you didn't read your contract, playa." Like you had to tell us by 5 p.m. That's gone. We made a decision. Yeah. And what are they going to do to Mark Henry, right? Like, so they're going to be like, fuck. All right, whatever.
Yeah. Damn it. Yeah, especially AEW's roster, who's big enough to even
or have Big Show do it, right? Like,
yeah, make Big Show. Oh, there you go. Make Paul White and Mark Henry your directors of communication, and they're the ones that communicate all of these things to the wrestlers. Hey, it's come down from management. You know who the hell that is, but it's come down that it's a 4-way match because you didn't make your pick in time. Like, yeah, that's where they could be utilized a little bit more than what they're doing right now. But yeah, so again, how I feel going into this match is Okada's fucking cool and bigger than everyone. It's still cowboy shit 24/7 on this side. Jay White's a fucking idiot and Adam Cole is a dork. Like, that's what I think about this match.
And Hangman wins.
No.
Yeah, Okada.
Okay.
Or Jay White wins.
So who do you got? I'll have you go with your pick and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
I mean, I think Jay White wins. I think there's a reason they just gave him the belt. To me, I mean, I could see a thing where they do a title swap for a while, right? The New Japan titles on AEW for a little bit. And if that happens, I think maybe Adam Cole wins by screwing over Jay White.
Ooh, I do like that.
But I'm going to say Jay White wins.
I like all of that.
Thanks. A lot of great
ideas. This is what I think happens. Yes. But this is what I think what happens. New champion. It is going to be Okada. Okada regains his championship. Yep. And Okada stands there with the money coming down, his arms out, belt around his waist. He is the fucking man. And then guess who fucking comes out to say, oh, guess who wants that belt back? We're going to put on a 10-star classic. It's the fucking franchise player, Kenny fucking Omega. And then we're going to Kenny Omega versus Okada at New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 1496 or whatever the fuck number they're on. And it's going to be that, right? That's the match that got all the American interest, was Okada versus Omega. Omega needs something to do when he comes back. He's not going to take on Danielson or Punk, right? So
that's where I thought Jay White was going with all this, right? Like, I thought it was going to be Omega, and then, oh, holy shit, right? Now we've got Omega, Hangman, Cole, and Jay White. Would have been a way cooler story. I mean, but whatever, Yeah.
Whatever. And again, I think, understanding a little bit more of what New Japan Pro Wrestling is in 2022, you kind of have to have Tanahashi and Okada. It would be if you did a co-promotion with WWE in 1999, 2000, and you had Stone Cold, but not The Rock, right? Like, you got to have both of them if you're going to do a co-promotion with the
almost
with
like if you had Hogan and Flair, but you didn't put them in a match.
Well, that's just from an idiot who likes to sexually assault his employees, allegedly. So
that's everybody at that company.
Well, that's why I didn't specifically name one person. They're a horrible company. Stop supporting them. So let's get back into match number 4. It was a buzzkill. It was fun part of the match. Toni Storm taking on buzzkill of the match, Marina Shafir. Why does she walk out with violins?
Just right before the main.
It's always right before the main event, Tim. every women's match is right before the main event. This, I don't know why. I would love for it to just kick off with the women's match. Wouldn't that just be a fun, just switch up, right? Just, whoa, Toni Storm taking on Thunder Rosa in a rematch. Okay, let's see what happens here. Nope, got to put it on right before you pee because the main event is next. It's just insulting. Insulting.
I just, the match, didn't wow me, but it wasn't terrible, right? Nobody botched anything crazy or anything. And Toni Storm, I think there's enough of a crowd behind her. So, yeah, you run with this. But I still think in her quest to win this AEW women's title, I don't think
Yeah. So it happens post-match. Nyla Rose comes out, or she's already out, but then she helps beat up Toni Storm. And then Thunder Rosa with Marina Shafir. But then without Vicky Guerrero, which again, Tony Khan, that is. You have amazing ideas. It's definitely seen when you put all of your interest into one. We've seen that multiple times now. We've also seen, though, when you're stretched too thin, and this whole story is Toni Storm has the belt in her hand, but it's actually Thunder Rosa's. And that's how we end this segment is, well, but here you go. But Sunday, I might get it. Man, what? That's the feud? That's the feud. Like, you got to give us more than that. So anyhow, that was that. Let's get into the main event. The main event was a dream tag team of Jon Moxley and Tanahashi taking on the first ever AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Chris Jericho, 3 of the all-time greats in these 2 companies, and Lance Archer. So this was fun. What did you think of the match?
Look, Lance Archer's always good for some great spots, right?
Yeah.
Chris Jericho can hold his own. Moxley, does his shtick, kind of the same thing every time. But it works, right? The crowd loves it. And then, Tanahashi's was new, right? I haven't seen a whole lot of Tanahashi. I mean, it's here and there from, big matches throughout the year. But, I thought it was good. And, I've just been kind of passively enjoying AEW during this whole glory hole, Forbidden Door, whatever you call it, run, right? I'm just kind of waiting for this to pass, if you will. I do like that they are kind of incorporating it into things, right? So it's not just like these, Saudi Arabia shows on WWE where it's just like, this storyline's going on over here, but it doesn't matter about, we're not going to mix that with this over here or anything like that. So, it was fine. I did forget a tweet the table that's kind of addressing some of this, so we should get to that real quick before we move on. That's at Katie First Lady says, it'd be kind of awesome if it was William Regal taking Danielson's place. Hashtag AEW Dynamite. Hashtag tweet the table. I mean, that would be awesome, but I would be kind of worried, much like story we might talk about here in a little bit. Ric Flair's wrestling a match here pretty soon.
He has a pacemaker.
I would be worried about, you know what I mean? Yeah.
His
Same
literal
thing with Regal.
nickname,
I would be worried about.
Yeah, his literal nickname is no longer the Nature Boy. It's the Pacemaker.
Yeah.
The Pacemaker, Ric Flair, because he's wrestling with a pacemaker that could go out, which would mean he would die. Why is it that important for people? And tickets are like $2,800. This isn't like a $20 show in the middle of a farm. This is a high dollar event. Stop it. Who is around Ric Flair to stop him from himself? Obviously, you have compassion for someone when they're like, hey, the thing that I was put on this earth to do is this thing. I'm going to do it till I fucking die in the ring. That's how I want to do it. That's how it's going to happen. Okay, right? But now you're kind of like an addict who needs to go to rehab. Who's around you to be like, instead of making $3,000 tonight, we're going to say fucking no. And we're not going to let this happen. Dumb.
And that aside, back to this situation, right? So we've got, we've got this Jon Moxley and Tanahashi up against Chris Jericho and Lance Archer. And I mean, if we think back again, it was just one of those things where I'm like, how did we get here again? I'm like, didn't he interrupt Hangman? And then Jericho
interrupted the previous week's stare down or, interview segment between Tanahashi and Moxley.
Right.
And then they beat him up. So then because they beat him up, they want to beat up Jericho and the loan.
But now Tanahashi's not involved. The Hangman match over here, right? But he's involved. Like it just was a weird mix for me,
It is a little bit. I mean, it coherently makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a timeline.
Explain it away. Yeah, but it also doesn't make interest. There's a difference, right?
Yes.
So the thing I thought about with this tag match is the match itself was molasses. Look, Jericho and Tanahashi, when they were in the ring together, man, that was like playing a video game as it was loading. Like it was moving.
Up to that Painmaker name.
Yeah, it was a little bit painful to watch. Now the post match was where the fun happened, right? Eddie Kingston comes out because he's going to kick Jericho's ass. Then that brings out Sammy Guevara, who's already there. He's getting involved. And then we're just getting all the fun chaos while Tanahashi and Jon Moxley are like, Sunday, we're going to fight each other. Now, I think they got the timing wrong because they stood there for a long ass time. But the chaos around them while those two stared each other down, I thought the visual and the concept was really cool. I think the execution was 1 minute too long. Minoru Suzuki walked out. I thought it was great. And then just starts fighting Wheeler Yuta. That's fun. It was just chaos on the
shows
outside.
Up out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And he showed up like he was like late for a barbecue. He had like this smirk. He's like, I can't wait for these ribs. And when I mean ribs, I mean your fucking ribs. And he's like just hitting people in the stomach and stuff. Oh, it was so much fun. That's what I was talking about. That part of the match was fun. That's why I thought, again, we had more time than to do it.
It was a long melee at the end, though. Went on for a while. It was like they started it earlier than they thought. I mean, they're like, oh, shit. You said we have 15 minutes left? Fuck.
Yeah, I thought it was 5. Damn it. Yeah. But yeah, so that was AEW Dynamite. So now, Tim, let's go into some of these matches for AEW's Forbidden Door. I'm going to start with the first match, go to the main event. Okay. So the buy-in, Max Caster and the Gun Club take on New Japan Pro Wrestling's Dojos, the Ass Boys. Excuse me. But they take on New Japan Pro Wrestling Dojo's Kevin Knight and the DKC and Alex Coughlin and Yuta Yamura.
So because this is the buy-in, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going Max Caster and the Ass Boys, right? Because this is get the crowd hyped. We're going to get some scissors going. He's going to have a cool rap, do the dance to the song.
That's the part I'm the most nervous about. Of the whole night, I'm the most nervous about Max Caster's rap because he can push the envelope. And if he, now most of these guys, I don't know, but from the picture look white, but Max Caster can be offensive. He's been suspended once. Mm-hmm. So if he does some like Asian stereotype stuff, man, I don't want that to happen. Right. So,
someone in the YouTube chat just said 5 cross that lip, which I mean, that's a phrase we've used across this podcast for years. This must be another long-term listener to just throw that out. I don't even know what they're referencing. There's a little bit of a delay to what you're seeing live, what we're saying. So sometimes we're like referencing
I like
5 cross that lip. I mean, we're down for that at all times.
So I think with this, this is what my gut says. I think New Japan gets the victory here because we're going to say this is on free TV. This promotion is not familiar to the buying audience. They need to look a little strong before they actually pay their money to see these people. So they're going to win. And I think this might be a little start of dissension between Max Caster and the Ass Boys, because maybe Anthony Bowens is coming back from his injury. And then we're going to get the Acclaim versus the Ass Boys, right? Like that's where I think we're eventually going to go with that. It could start here.
The Ass Boys could have a hook-like rise to the stardom once they flip that switch to the app.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Brent Anderson said he was referencing the post-match scrum.
Oh yeah,
there was a lot of 5 cross that lip.
Well, come on with it.
And yes, long-term listener, he says, well, thanks.
Thanks, pal.
By the way, coming up here in about a month, 9-year anniversary. Spanish. 9 years, Tom. Can you believe it that you're still talking to me 9 years later and I'm still staring at you in the face? Think that would still
We're
be
still
happening?
having technical difficulties.
Yeah, we
we're still having technical.
Still can't quite figure out how to do it right. 9 years and we still fuck it up every week.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right. So then we're going to kick off the show. Now, here's the thing. I'm looking at wrestlinginc.com. I don't know the spoilers for Rampage for tomorrow night. So I don't know if this was announced on Rampage and then they just put it in there because it happened on Wednesday and they know the results, But the next match it says here is Swerve in Our Glory, Shane Strickland and Keith Lee versus El Desperado and Yushibi Kimura.
So,
nailed it again. Here it is.
So this is another one of those where I don't know the rest of the card and how it books out in this NJPW politics.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're saying what we're really doing is setting up a feud between Swerve and Keith Lee, then they lose here. But if we're not, and they were just like, no, man, like the Rumble, it was every man for himself, deal with it, then they win, right?
But they're not. If you watched, I believe it was Dark, AEW Dark, they did a tag match and Swerve was like going for a high five and Keith Lee was like, let's just get to the ring. So I think they're still playing on that.
So I think we see some confrontation, they lose, and we continue that and we get the real breakup here in a few.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I think as well. So now let's get into one of the more intriguing matches of the night. Winner takes all for the Ring of Honor and IWGP Tag Team Championships. FTR versus the Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb versus Roppongi Vice. What do you got in this?
Man, I feel like FTR is so on fire. It would be stupid to have them lose it. But again, we're not talking about just AEW here, right? So, I don't know what your next move for FTR is when they're so red hot if they lose these titles, right? I'm going to say FTR.
That makes the most sense. That would make the most sense. Oh, and by the way, on Rampage, now this reminds me, it's Jeff Cobb versus Trent. So that's where Trent's going to take on another, but that's who it was. Look, Jeff Cobb is physically impressive, and to have him on your television for a few weeks is awesome. So them winning would be great. Roppongi Vice, I think, regardless, is taking the pin. Trent or Rocky Romero, they're going to be losing. So then you go Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb or FTR. Now, here, I'm just talking this out. You could have FTR lose this. They're down in the dumps. New tag team champs. The Young Bucks bump into them backstage and was like, I thought you guys said you're the greatest. This was what makes us the greatest, and shoves the titles in their face. And then we get FTR versus Young Bucks. Let's run it back for the titles a second time with the roles reversed and do that.
I could see that as well. Grant Anderson says FTR is cash in the bank. Why leave that money on the table? And as I said, I agree with that too. But
but here's the thing.
I do see what you're saying, right? Like we could make them the AEW champions a couple weeks.
That's what I'm saying. And then the other thing that you got to consider, breaking kayfabe for a moment, right? If we were to break the fourth wall, get into real business. It seems highly difficult for me to conceive a scenario where FTR is going to wrestle weekly on AEW television and then defend the Ring of Honor championships and then go to Japan and defend the IWGP.
We do exactly what you're saying, and now it's for 3 titles altogether. Who is the best tag team in the world? We have the ROH tag titles, New Japan tag titles, or IWGP, whatever they call it. Mm-hmm. You guys are sitting here with your 1 title belt, losers. Why don't we just take those off your hands too? Belt collectors.
And they could say, like, didn't your friend do this? We're going to do it now here. We're going to do it with the tag champions.
Right.
Didn't your friend Kenny Omega
Did your
do
friend
this?
with the spaghetti hair do this?
Yeah. Now, oh, this is fun. We got a lot of scenarios here. I'm going FTR.
Yeah, FTR wins.
But I do think they are going up against Young Bucks next. Regardless of this match, I think the next feud is.
You could even have one
Young
of these
Bucks.
things where it's like they win, but they won by DQ, so no titles change hands.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Mm,
Because what I was thinking is FTR does win the championships, right? Then they
Right.
are winner take all, Ring of Honor, IWGP, tag team champions. Now they're walking
that
around,
idea.
but then the Young Bucks start to get jealous. And in a Ring of Honor tag team match, they lose the titles to Ring of Honor Legacy
Sanjay
tag
Dutt
team.
and Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal, right? Yeah, they lose the tag team champions to that team.
Or the Briscoes.
FTR's like, yeah. FTR goes like, what the fuck? And Young Bucks is like, no, you ain't walking around here with all the gold. We are the best tag team. And then you get that way. It's going to be a fun one. That's the one because there's 2 championships involved. I think that's the most intriguing.
Grant Anderson
event of
alluded
the
to
night.
what we're talking about there was a dusty finish.
Yeah, but you do have to consider they don't do that a lot in
They don't.
AEW.
Right, correct.
It's typically pretty
I
straightforward.
mean, this is
when
a
they
situation where you might need to use it because you're like, oh shit, we booked ourselves into a weird situation. Could we possibly have somebody trying to defend 2 titles on 2 continents?
Right. That
on
would
a
be the
third
difficult
show.
part.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. That is the interesting part. All right, let's keep it moving here. Eddie Kingston, Shota Amato,
You said it right.
and Wheeler Yuta versus Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Minoru Suzuki.
That
Who
team.
you got in this? Jericho, Guevara, and
Jericho,
Suzuki.
Guevara, and Suzuki. Yeah, 100%. Like the other team, yeah. You know, Blackpool Combat Club, Wheeler Yuta's hot, Kingston's hot. Who else was on their team? This other random person, right?
Shoto
But
Umino.
Jericho must pose on this event, right?
My gut feeling with Forbidden Door, because it's leading to AEW Blood and Guts, is that everything Jericho Appreciation Society is going to look like roses on Sunday night for them to then fall on their face.
Here's what happens.
Wednesday night.
Jericho pulls out some clippers and shaves Eddie Kingston's hair, or maybe left of it, right?
Yeah.
And now,
No,
like you mentioned, like you said, you don't think we're done with this Jericho hair thing. Now, go, all right, well, blood and guts, let's throw another thing on this.
I mean, that could
Hair's
happen.
on the line. Otherwise, I just think that, like, Ortiz needed to get, like, a CAT scan, had to shave his head, and they worked it into it.
Maybe.
I don't think you even have to get your head shaved for a CAT scan. Listen, what I'm talking about.
I think the easiest way to get this match to where the people who need to look good, but then we get a winner is Minoru Suzuki to pin the Shoto Umino.
When you have Jericho and Suzuki, and Jericho's got his tag team buddy who they're all behind right now, you know, the sex gods, right?
Right.
Yeah, totally they win.
Yeah, so that's what I got. Okay, so now we kind of alluded to it, but we'll just review it just real quickly. 4-way to determine the first ever All-Atlantic champion, Pac, Miro, Ishii, which is not Ishii now, it's Connors, and Malachi Black. You said?
I think Pac.
Pac. Yep, that's what we got. All right, let's keep it moving here. Now, for the IWGP United States Championship, we have champion Will Osprey taking on challenger Orange Cassidy.
Will Osprey. I think we'll get all the fun shit in. Orange Cassidy thing. But right now he's in that setting where, as popular as he is, win or lose.
Oh, he was more over in Milwaukee than I think he's been over in a few months. And it's because we missed him, right? When you don't use him each and every week, like he was when he was feuding with Jericho, and you're like, okay, what were you doing this week? Now he's just doing a thumbs up with the other hand. Like, come on, get the fuck on, right?
Well, no, the moves are the same, right? Like he puts his hands in his pockets and then he ducks and he rolls and he drop kicks. And kicks it into gear all of a sudden. It's like, yeah, but it's the same thing every time. So yeah, if you see it week in and week out, then like, oh, I can go to the bathroom. I know it.
Right. Sidebar. I listened to a sports podcast out of Miami called the Dan Le Batard Show. Dan Le Batard discovered who Orange Cassidy was on Wednesday night. And he goes, because they were talking about the Ric Flair match. And they're like, who do you want to see him face in his last match? Because one of the producers is a huge wrestling fan, like a legit, real huge wrestling fan. And out of the blue, Dan Le Batard said, Orange Cassidy. He goes, he's a guy that wrestles in jeans and is more athletic than any wrestler from my childhood. Like he was just so baffled by a guy wrestling in his jeans that athletic. And so anyhow, that was just a fun sidebar. Check out the Dan Le Batard Show after you listen to the Spanish Announce Table. Okay, so now let's keep it moving here. So yeah, I got Will Osprey as well. I think the same reason.
Tell you what, you donate us $20, you back a link to where you can find Le Batard Show. AnnounceTable.net.
Perfect idea.
Yeah.
Perfect idea. We'll help you with anything if you give us money.
Yeah. Use us as Google. Send us a 20 spot and be like, how do I, whatever. And we'll be like, all right, let me look that up for you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now let's get into the next match here. We've got, and I'm not going to fucking say all this. It's basically the Bullet Club versus, I love this name, Dudes with Attitudes.
Heard that
now, here it is. It's the Young Bucks, El Phantasmo and Hikuleo versus Darby Allin, Sting, Takashi, and Taki. Shingo, Taki, and I don't know these guys. Now, here's the thing that I noticed. Tony Khan is fantastic in this respect. He will work with the talent and be like, hey, so what do you think? And the talent will say like, hey, I think I want to do X, or I want to name this Y, right? And I believe the respect that Tony Khan has for Sting, he essentially says like, what do you want to do, Sting? And Sting says, I'll do this. 1,000,000% Dudes with Attitudes was named by 62-year-old Sting.
Yeah. But they're going to get, surprised they don't get copyright infringement claim on them. Yeah. And this one I'm a little torn with, right? Because you think this is another one where, hey, we got an opportunity to let Sting pose with a win, right? In front of a big crowd. Everybody will love it. But the Young Bucks sure do love to win a lot of these, right? So I think I'm going with that Young Bucks team. Stand there and do the pew.
So I've got the Bullet Club because the Bullet Club has to win a match with the Forbidden Door. And Glory hole. And the real feud for Darby Allin and Sting is not with the Young Bucks. It's with Red Wagon. And Red Wagon aren't on this pay-per-view. Right. And they're going to make sure that they're seen somewhere.
Riley's hurt.
But he's easy. But he can do a Kansas City cunt punt at any time. He's not that hurt.
Yeah.
So that's why I got the Bullet Club. Bullet Club has to. And by the way, another sidebar here. Reason 1376 of why I cannot stand the Young Bucks in any regard is and I think this is legit. I think this is a shoot statement from them when they're like, we're the damn key for this Forbidden Door. As if, and I said this again on our Twitter, as if Sting wasn't wrestling the Great Muta in Tokyo in 1991. Like, that's how self-absorbed they are. The only things they know are the things that they've done. Like, if they didn't watch it on TV,
switch for like the whole Ric Flair Christian thing, right? Like, didn't they do a damn?
Yeah, the TNA Hall of Fame thing. But I'm talking about like legit matches, like Sting, Hulk Hogan, the Road Warriors, the Steiners. While they were in WCW, they did a damn tournament in WCW with New Japan and WCW. So like
even if it's a dig at WWE, who doesn't allow these things, they have allowed those things in the past. And if the money were right on certain things, they would do it again. I'm sure they have talked to New Japan over the years many times about doing things, but they probably looked at it as you're not going to bring enough value to our brand. We would be providing more to yours than we'd be getting. So we're not doing it.
Oh, wasn't it Liger, Juice and Thunder Liger, who took on who's the fucking guy that used to have the selfie stick in NXT?
Tyler Breeze.
Yeah. Wasn't that on an NXT takeover?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I just want to and you can't just say you're the best. Now they have the championships. So now it has a little bit more weight behind it. But again, the Young Bucks. I just want 5 minutes in a room with them just to beat the hell out of them. I just don't like them. Like, maybe they're heels and they were trying to say that to get me mad. Maybe. And credit to them if that was their goal, because they accomplished it. Because I just wanted to like throw something at Matt Jackson. And it's specifically him. I've identified it now. I got into my rage with my therapist.
Young Buck 1.
It is Matt. Yeah, it's Young Buck 1 who I'm really mad at.
You actually talked to your therapist about this specific?
Yes. And then Young Buck 2 is totally fine. He's
now
fine.
I want to talk to my therapist about this exact same thing.
Yeah. Because like Young Buck 2, Nick Jackson, he does the.
We might have lost Tom first. Kind of froze up, so I'm going to go ahead and continue the discussion here. Look, see, Tom's frozen there. Look at that. Look at him just stuck there, not doing nothing. But hey, Young Bucks win, even though Tom's got this legitimate hate towards them. And you know, I don't like him either. So I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't have a hate for him, but I just now I'm just kind of let it wash over. It's like Bucks doing the Buck things. And look, I think we got Tom back.
Hey, there it is. I'm back.
I was stalling, talking about how I kind of also don't like the Young Bucks, but you were saying.
Well, yeah. Young Buck 2, at least he does the like that's original, right?
Right.
And I kind of liked them when they were doing the shoe thing, going after shoe culture, bending the Air Force Ones and the Jordan ones and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Good heel moves. But when you say dumb shit out of your ass like that, you just need to be smacked and thrown into the ocean. Anyhow, let's move back into the matches. Now, as we mentioned, Bryan Danielson's hand-picked choice versus Zack Saber Jr. And let's review again real quick. Who you got in this? Who do you think it is? And then who you got? This is our final pick.
I think it's Cesaro. I think he wins.
I want it to be Jonathan Gresham for the fact that it's not another spot taken by some ex-WWE guy. Remember, that's MJF's biggest gripe. And if this is a legit issue he has, adding more WWE guys who can't talk would probably piss him off. So I would rather it be Jonathan Gresham, but I do think it's going to be Cesaro. But I've got Zack Saber Jr. because I think Jericho Appreciation Society gets their hands dirty and messes up the finish of this match. All right, so now let's get into the AEW Women's World Championship match. Champion Thunder Rosa taking on Jessica Simpson. I'm kidding. Toni Storm.
I have a rock solid prediction for this. This match will be right before the main event.
Has to be.
Got it.
It has to be.
Pay me now.
I mean.
Got it.
They couldn't be that dumb, could they?
Who do you think wins, though? Oh, they're going to do it. Yeah, I think wins.
I got Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
I think Toni Storm beating Britt Baker clean maybe gives a little bit more momentum behind Toni Storm. I also think Thunder Rosa's first program or second program with Serena Deeb didn't light the world on fire. You know what I mean? So there could be like a let's course correct and get it on former WWE superstar Toni Storm. But my gut says Thunder Rosa. That's what I'm going with, Thunder Rosa here. But the story is non-existent. I'm not happy with that. But anyhow. All right, let's close it out with the two.
Let's chime in. Trent Anderson there's some streaming chat going on YouTube. Trent Anderson said, I will buy you a case if you beat the hell out of the Bucks. And X0X81 said, I'm 150% on board with Matt Jackson beating related therapy.
I mean, yeah.
I'm going to talk to my therapist about this now.
Talk
to him about Matt Jackson.
He's the worst.
Just that I have an an unhealthy disdain for the Young Bucks. Maybe it's not unhealthy. I need the therapist to tell me if it's unhealthy or not.
Yeah, because
What
I'm
did your
reading
therapist say? Did they say this was unhealthy, or that you should look into this, or that you like?
They said he said that I need to
Forgive
work.
me, you don't have to talk. You know what I mean?
No. But like he said, I had. No, who cares? I have hips. I got to work through it. I got to identify my issues. Because see, I'm trying to be a good person.
You're trying.
Another sidebar. Book recommendation for the well-rounded pro wrestling fan: How to Be Perfect by Michael Schur. It's a comedy moral philosophy book. I would highly recommend it to anyone. It's a quick read. 200. No, because it's a signed copy. Like, yeah, you also don't do well with borrowed books either. But this one's a signed copy. I got one signed by the author. Michael Schur, for anyone who doesn't know, again, really quick note, he created Parks and Rec, The Good Place, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was also a writer for Saturday Night Live and The Office. So that's his comedy bona fides, but he also has a ton of philosophers. Yeah, he's a stud. Okay, so now it's. I actually did. I was like, this book is bringing out. Yeah, but I was like, this book is bringing things out that I want to be better at, but then I want to fucking punch people.
I see these guys, the Young Bucks, and I just fucking hate.
I mean, this is basically a therapy session. This is what I'm saying, word for word. I'm like, but then these fucking
you just
guys
pay me this money instead of what you're paying the therapist.
Yeah, but then I see this fucking guy with dumb 1990s fucking mutton chops and a choker, like we're in the year
bigger
2000.
Sideburns than he has head on his hair.
God dang, yeah. Fuck him. Anyhow, no, he's fine. Let's get into the heavyweight championship matches here. Now, IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Jay White as a champion, taking on Okada, taking on Adam Cole, taking on Hangman Adam Page. Let's review again. Who you got?
Jay White. Think Okada?
I got Okada with the surprise of Kenny Omega. Now, okay, so that's what I think. Now I will challenge you to this. Do you think we see Kenny Omega at this pay-per-view?
I feel like we're probably going to see him, but it could be something as simple as like Kenny Omega's in the back talking to somebody, right? Like just does a walk by and everybody's like, just see that? Tell me I didn't just see that, right? And maybe that's all we get. Or maybe he interferes in a match somewhere, right? Maybe
you know what this feels like a lot? Well, you know what this feels like so much to me? The ECW One Night Stand where RVD was injured, and it was like, this was all because of him, and he can't even be here. And then again, he was there. He got jumped by Rhino and all that, and then Sabu came back. But like that screams like Kenny Omega. This was made for Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Like 1,000,000%. And then, but he's injured and he can't, be advertised or lead up to it. So anyhow, all right, now let's get into the interim AEW World Heavyweight Championship match, where the winner will be your interim champion with a future match against the current AEW World Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk. The competitors in this matchup, Tim: Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Jon Moxley. Who you got?
I think Tanahashi wins, and maybe even through some nefarious things that gives Moxley a feud. But I think this is where we get that AEW gets to have New Japan gets to have the AEW title for a while, because then it lines up with CM Punk comes to bring it back home when it's sprained ankle.
And again, Jericho Appreciation Society, Blood and Guts. Best way, if this does close the show, to get you to tune in for Wednesday is Jericho or whoever it is. Kansas City Cunt Punch Jon Moxley. Tanahashi's your victor. Jon Moxley is going to say, I'm going to kill you on Wednesday night. Oh, shit. And then let's tune in for Wednesday.
They call it Blood and Guts because I'm going to leave your blood and guts scattered around this ring.
Exactly. So that is our AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door pay-per-view.
Glory hole.
Now, Tim, I got another question for you. Are you going to be purchasing this pay-per-view? Is this a must-see for Tim of the Spanish Announce Table?
Probably not purchasing it. I'm probably also not watching it live. How could you watch it live if you don't purchase it, you ask? Don't
give us $20, we'll tell you.
No, give us $20 and I'll let you know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, no, probably not. What about you?
I am. And this is why. I agree with all the points you've been making. I have not been emotionally invested in any of these storylines. I think a lot of it, unfortunately, has been due to injuries. And if you're reading the dirt sheets on your Twitter timeline, which come across mine from time to time, some politics, because apparently Pentagon or Penta was going to take on Will Osprey, but because of some
Triple
Mexican
A
wrestling,
won't
all
won't
those
play
things,
well with them.
right? So because of
Andrade
politics,
can't wrestle either.
Andrade as well, yeah. So because of those things, like this card, I don't think was what they initially wanted it to be. No fault by anyone necessarily, right? Injuries you can't prevent, things like that. But I am interested just from the pure curiosity of two promotions that make a lot of money are co-promoting. Who's the top dog? Who's leaving this event with the upper hand? Because unlike Survivor Series, when it was back in the day when it really meant something, Raw versus SmackDown, which was still fun, it was still WWE that won, right? Like it's still WWE. This, though, I mean, Zack Saber Jr., we may never see again in AEW, right? Does this match, takes off, bye-bye. See ya. Didn't like you guys. I'm not coming back, So we don't know how this is all going to unfold. And some real shit might happen, right? Eddie Kingston might go like, who's he taking on again? Minoru Suzuki. He's like, hey man, you're a little too stiff with me, so I'm gonna fucking stab you or something like that. You know what I mean? So again, that was just a bad example, but you get what I'm saying. Like there could be some legit shooting
Eddie Kingston
in these
stabs
matches.
Minoru Suzuki in this. Minoru Suzuki might rip his throat out.
Yeah. Oh, they might fight to the death. It might be the Peter versus Chicken from Family Guy kind of fight, where it's just they're gonna fight until they both turn into dust.
I'll buy the pay-per-view if you're gonna tell me that's gonna happen.
Yeah. So I'm interested again to see how the dust settles between two promotions who make a lot of money, who also have a big ego in thinking that they are going to overtake WWE down the road, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to watch it live, is just for the curiosity of what they do in all of these kind of matches.
Well, to sum up the show, then I want to hit two more tweet the tables that we got from the Twitter machine. By the way, use hashtag tweet the table on Twitter. We'll read them here. These are WWE related. So,
that stinks.
From Big Josh at the Rebel Trucker says, hashtag tweet the table. I don't care what you say. Madcap Moss is over. Hashtag SmackDown. And don't lie. You care what we say. You totally care.
Yeah, you do care what we say. So thank you. And second,
yeah, I mean, well, he might be over because he gets a crowd reaction. But like, this is kind of what I was talking about on like our Riddle TikTok and stuff, is like, is the crowd really like, is it a good thing to say they're over and like the crowd loves them when the crowd just seemingly loves anybody that comes out with abs and wiggles and dances? Like, is that really all it fucking takes for some of you people anymore? Like, I don't understand.
Well, Riddle to me has a likability and just a charm to him, to where you're like,
there
okay,
is a natural
like
charisma. Like he is there. Right. This isn't a gimmick for Riddle.
No, right. Yeah. He is very likable, charming, and just, just a guy, right? You just want to be friends with him, and he might get you high, and people like that. Now, Madcap Moss, I would argue this. I don't think he's over. I think, and I'm not calling him by the fucking name he's going by now, Baron Corbin. I think Baron Corbin's over.
Yes.
I think Baron Corbin, the heel that everyone wants to see get his ass kicked, is the one that's over. So by proxy, whoever's kicking his ass is going to be over.
Baron Corbin for years now has never not delivered. Right? Baron Corbin has been quietly one of the best performers they've got.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah. He is the testament to this storyline, not Mad. What the fuck is Madcap? Can anyone explain that to me? What is that? I don't know a lot of words. Is that a smart word that I've never heard before?
I mean, are we just not hip? Not street?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Is it some TikTok thing? Is it a dance that I'm not aware of?
Like, and I just don't. Yeah. I mean, I don't get the character. And then, so cool. When he beats Happy Corbin, right?
Nope.
Wins,
Baron.
Baron Corbin. Glory hole Corbin.
Yeah.
When he wins, then what? Like, what? Why do I care anymore? because then it will just be he's coming out, smiling, waving to the crowd, showing off his 12 abs, right? I think it's 12 that I counted. And, that's it.
Side note, again, fun side notes to take on this episode of Spanish Announce Table. Tomorrow night, I'm actually going to see Baron Corbin in a celebrity softball game at Kauffman Stadium.
Nice.
Big Slick, right before the
Big
Royals
Slick.
take on the
That's right.
Oakland A's. Big Slick, a charity event that benefits Children's Mercy, a children's hospital here in Kansas City.
They bring a lot of Kansas City locals and other celebrities back,
it's going to be hosted by
Baron Corbin is a Kansas City local.
Yeah, Baron Corbin's going to be there. Paul Rudd, Jason Sudeikis will not be there because he's actually doing Ted Lasso. But then Rob Riggle,
Stone Street,
Eric Stone Street, they're all going to be there, and a host of other people.
Stone Street's from like where I live, like my neighbors like knew that kid growing up, probably babysat.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's the other one we got here?
Oh yeah, the other truth table. I was like, what are you talking about? I don't know who the fuck's in this. Like, you
got two.
Tell me, motherfucker. All right, at Katie, the first lady says, "Oh, good, another ego stroke by Vince. Almost fell from the ring. Could you please go away and deal with your shit?" Hashtag WWE Raw. Hashtag tweet the table. If you got Katie person, you're doing something wrong. I mean, I know Vince never cares about doing something wrong or not, but like we were discussing this before the show started, like he just won't ever have any humility or like taste in the moment when it's called for. Just won't.
Because it's too self-absorbed. He sees himself always in all situations as the hero. He thinks he's being vilified unfairly, like Batman in Gotham City. And so he thinks he needs to show his face because that's what true strength is. And he's just a self-absorbed, blind-spotted moron. Like, that is it, man. That is all he is. And all he's doing, like you said, is this slinging my dick in front of the audience because I'm the coolest person you've ever met. And you're just a miserable twat. Like, you are just reprehensible. And again, I'm not watching. I saw that people are making memes out of him jumping from the second stair or whatever.
Yeah, those are fun.
Fine. Those are fun. Whatever. But no, I'm not going to support that company while he's in power. If he steps down, 100%. And him and his support group, right? Him and Laurinaitis, and if it's Bruce Pritchard, I don't know who's really a part of it. But if they all leave,
they're prime right now for a sale. If the stock is truly dropped like that, one of the ways to get it to increase back is to sell to somebody else and remove the existing people in power that caused it to start to tank. So if it's like sales contingent on the new company's board will be the acting board of this company, and you guys, here's your golden umbrella money. You know what I mean? Yeah. Triple H will stay on creative. You know what I mean? That kind of thing, right? Like Stephanie might be you know what I mean? Like those kind of things, right? But like, I kind of would not be shocked if within the next couple months you start hearing the whole like, look, they're going to sell to Disney or NBC or.
I just know as a personal stance that I'm taking that this last controversy was what's the phrase? The straw that broke the camel's back. Yep. Like, I'm done. I'm throwing in the towel. And look, I love Big E. I love Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. I think Baron Corbin's fantastic. Kevin Owens is doing fun stuff. Like, I like a lot of those wrestlers, but I just can't in good faith support someone. The Usos are awesome. Yeah. I think the Usos are the best tag team in the world. Still.
Agree.
Like, consistently. I think they're the best. Now, FTR right now, like in 2022, is a tag team of the year, but tag team of the last decade is the Usos. Absolutely. And so there's plenty of people there that it's like, I think you guys are amazing, but I can't in good faith support a company led by that fucking evil dictator. And I know, look, we all have our lines, right? Oh, but you're going to eat at Chick-fil-A. Okay, we all have different lines for different things. But you get what I'm saying. That was just right. So I'll redraw the line when needed. But for right now, my line is this with that company. So I'll try to comment on like who you got on pay-per-views that I'm not going to watch, but like miss me with all that talk. They suck. They're miserable.
Well, and remember, as you join us each week in and out, you can chime in on the chats like Trent Anderson did here. And he says, I called that scenario. Day the scandal broke, selling is the only option at this point. And we shall see. As Tom said, I kind of don't feel like supporting them. But what you should support, us. The Spanish Announce Table by going to SpanishAnnounceTable.net, using the donate link to be the beer sponsor of the week, like this week's great beer sponsor of the week. Fucking nobody. Do that.
And I will always say, you will know when we have a beer sponsor because I drink water when we don't have a beer sponsor.
Right.
This goes away and is replaced with
Water.
beer when you are a beer sponsor.
Water, he says in quotation marks. So support us, and I guess, that's all I got to say. We'll just be back next week for episode 389.
The Spanish Announce Table.